Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and welcome to this week's iteration installment of Cosmic Convergence, your weekly astrology horoscope. This horoscope is going to be covering July 3rd through July 9th of 2024. Thank you so much for joining me here. Oh, there we go. I had it also YouTube on in the background so I can keep up with the chat. Looks like everything is good to go. But yes, this is going to be your weekly astrology horoscope, like I said, covering July 3rd through the 9th of 2024. Thank you so much for joining me here. I know that this got pushed back and back and back. And honestly, even the title of this forecast, which when I was looking at the transits for the week, it's all about maintaining a positive attitude. And I had to take my own advice. Because a lot of times when I make my daily content, I don't always watch it right afterwards. I usually can feel like it's like, okay, that was definitely a good one. I was like, okay, I could have worked a little bit better on that one. But I definitely felt it after the one I made for today last night. I was like, that's going to be applicable. That's a good one. And then sure enough, like before it even hit noon today, I was like, all right, let me watch back the daily. If you haven't already watched today's daily, do so, because I'm sure it's going to be applicable for you. But I watched it and I was like, wow, can't believe how on point this one actually was. And it's really, like I said, it's about maintaining a positive attitude. Even when things aren't going the way that we want them to, or the way that we thought they were going to, or our plans. This is like one of those moments where plan to have your plans changed. That's the whole thing too with Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Saturn is all about planning. And Virgo, in many ways, is also the sign of planning too. And it's opposing this energy. So plan to have your plans changed. From now until Saturn goes direct, which will be later on in the year, pretty much like right at the tail end of the year. Plan to have your plans change. You know, that's the thing about this. And especially we have to learn how to be adaptable during this time because this is Pisces energy. This is mutable water. So we have to definitely be a little bit more adaptable right now. But like I said, when I was looking at the transits for this week, there wasn't like a whole lot of major things happening. I think the good thing about this week is that, and as the weeks progress, you'll start to see this more and more and more. You flip the turtle around, is that the energy is kind of spreading out a little bit more. Everything was condensed for such a long time. Now energies are starting to spread out. We have more energy that's into Cancer. Now we have Mercury, which is in Leo. And by the time that I'm making this, it would have already opposed Pluto. So we are now where all the planets were on one side of the zodiac. At one point, like 1/4 of the zodiac, it is now spread out. And it's like it was on just one half, like 180 degrees aspect. Now that Mercury is moving forward into Leo, albeit slowing down. We gotta remember that Mercury likes to travel fast. And like this fastest is around like 2 degrees a day. Right now it's even moving at about 1.5 degrees a day. We got to remember that even though Mercury is moving fast, it is slowing down because it's going to be retrograding in Leo, right? Mercury's going to be retrograding in Leo, and Mars is going to be retrograding in Leo. By the end of this week, we're going to almost see that Mars conjunct Uranus. Is not going to be quite exact by the come next Tuesday, but it's getting really close to conjuncting Uranus next week. But this is an interesting week. Things are kind of spreading out a little bit. We're starting to get like a much more clearer picture of the bigger picture of things. Everything's been so condensed on the one side of the zodiac, so it's been hard to get like a clear picture of things right now. But things are starting to spread out this week. You know, of course, we have a new moon in Cancer that's going to be happening here on Friday at 14 degrees, splitting the difference between the two full moons in Capricorn that we'll be getting at 1 degree and 29 degrees respectively. We're going to see that new moon there at 14 degrees, coming off of the square to the nodes, of course, and getting ready to make a trine over to Saturn. Now, considering the fact that this is the Sun and Saturn involved, we can say that this new moon is trine Saturn. Even though it's a 5-degree orb, the influence is still there, as obviously it is there with the nodes too. And I think it's interesting too, because at the time of that new moon, there are multiple minor asteroids that are making pretty big oppositions as well to other planets. One of them being the planet of the minor asteroid or minor planet of Ceres, will actually be exactly opposed this new moon in Cancer at 14 degrees. And I'll talk a little bit more in depth about the significance of that, because when I saw it, I was like really surprised. And like I said, there's two other asteroids that we track, two of like the major asteroids that we track, and how they are making oppositions to major planets as well this week. And that does bring a bit of the subtlety, some of the more subtle energy up to the forefront, being that they are asteroids. But like I said, this whole week is about maintaining a positive attitude, right? Mercury's in Leo, right? The moon starts off being in Gemini, and it's going to be with Jupiter. That the moon, by the end of the week, that moon will be coming into Leo as well, right? So actually, it'll be coming into Virgo. So this moon will conjunct Mercury in Leo too. So this is all about maintaining a positive attitude. That's really what this comes down to. I think we can look out at the world, we can look out at our lives, and we can see a bunch of reasons to be upset, depressed, anxious, apprehensive. But we have to be able to find the positive in this sort of energy, I think this is going to be a time where really leaning and really understanding more of that Jupiter Gemini aspect is really going to be very, very helpful. Now, this Jupiter Gemini, of course, is getting closer to squaring Saturn. It's not going to do it quite this week. I don't think it's going to do it next week. It's not moving that fast. And it might even retrograde before then. I actually have to check to see when exactly that Jupiter does retrograde. But that's the thing about this. This is a time where the universe is asking us to maintain a positive attitude, which is why I even created this right here as far as the image. Because I feel like this is going to be a week where we are sort of reminded by our younger self to maintain that positive attitude. I have the man here looking into the mirror at a younger version of himself. Looks like he's getting ready to go out and work, and he's being kind of like sent along his way by a younger version of himself who's kind of pointing up. And I just felt like this is that week, especially with the Gemini energy, especially with the Leo energy that's coming in here too. This is a week where we're being reminded to maintain that positive attitude, to be able to look on the bright side of things, to do our best, to not worry about the big things that we can't fix or we can't change, right? There's an element here where the inner child is going to be playing a big role this week. And I credit that in many ways to a lot of this Gemini energy, a lot of the Leo energy, and even this new moon in Cancer opposed Ceres. There is an element where we have to learn how to nurture ourselves through these times, and to realize that by maintaining that positive attitude and by learning how to laugh things off and to keep things like light and fun, not to deny the things, not to sweep things under the rug that need to be addressed, but at the same time, keep things light, keep things fun, try not to take things too seriously, And that's the thing about it. Young kids, they think differently. We can bring them a complex problem, and they will have such a simple solution for us. And even though they may not necessarily know all of the intricacies and complexities of the situation, they still will provide an answer. And it's usually rather simple. It's usually almost sort of like it's almost sort of obvious. It's like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Or why won't you do that? And then we can come up with 1,000 reasons in the book on why something can't be or why you can't do something. But like I said, this is going to be that week where we are going to be looking in the mirror, and our younger self is going to be reminding us to say, hey, it's another day. It's a beautiful day. Have fun with it. I know it seems crazy out there and stuff. There's a lot of things that you can't control. That's the thing about children. It's like there's a lot of things that they can't control in their lives. They can't necessarily control, they don't necessarily have the money or the resources to really take care of themselves, all the way. But they still make an adventure out of it. they still make an adventure out of life, you know? And I know not everyone has the same upbringing and everything of that nature. I definitely get that. Some people had to grow up faster than others. Some people didn't necessarily have, you know, that sort of childhood where they could, you know, be that imaginative young, like, soul, young spirit, and just exuberant, or be exuberant in the adventure and the passion and the love for life, and to experience and to explore what this reality has to offer. I know not everyone had a chance to do that, but we all still have an inner child that can be nurtured. And then after, of course, we leave our parents' nests, it is up to us to continue that relationship, because that inner child never dies. It doesn't die. It's always there. You know, for someone to be spiritual, we really believe that all timelines can exist at the same time. That means that young child, that younger version of yourself, is still alive. Very much so. But it gets to the point where it's up to us to nurture that inner child, to nurture that young child, and to keep their spirits up and to be the hero that we needed when we were growing up. That's really what it comes down to. And you do that by maintaining a positive attitude. Like I said, not denying what needs to get done or what conversations need to happen. Not denial, but maintaining a positive attitude, because that's how you're going to get through it. That's how you're going to come up with the solutions. That's how you're going to be able to actually move forward in your life, is by maintaining that positive attitude. So let's go ahead and hop into the charts. Give me 1 second. Let's see. As I get everything going. All right. Cool. All right. So, the current moment. This is where we are. We're Wednesday, July 3rd. Like I said, if you haven't already, I definitely recommend that you guys watch my daily. It was really good. Now, the day started off, of course, with that moon on Jupiter. That happened earlier in the morning. So, pretty much coming into today, right? So we were asleep for this one. At least a lot of people here in America were. If you're in Europe, you might have been waking up and getting ready for your day. Oh, well, no, 5 hours ahead of us. So yeah, you guys are getting ready for your day and stuff like that. Some of y'all might even be on vacation too, because in Europe, y'all actually take vacation, but here in America, we don't do that. So I mean, we do, but it's not mandated like you guys have it. So we did have that moon on Jupiter, and we did, of course, see the moon in Gemini sextile over to the north node. It trined the south node, right? And at the current moment, we see that moon at 15 degrees of Gemini, which means that it is within 30 degrees. It is within 30 degrees of this of the sun, which means that it has, in fact, entered into its dark moon phase. The last 30 degrees to the sun. It's in the 12th house to the sun, right? So now we have a 12th house aspect of this moon in Gemini to this sun in Cancer. So right now, especially with the moon that's going to be squaring over to Saturn, especially with Pluto that is coming off in opposition to Pluto, it can be easy to get caught up in the riptide of a negative attitude, where we have to learn through Gemini how to adapt in certain situations that may not necessarily go exactly the way that we planned. That was my entire morning, okay? That was my entire morning. I was supposed to make this video at 11 a.m., right? I was supposed to make this video earlier in the day. And then me and my wife were going to go have lunch at one of our favorite restaurants. We haven't been there in a while because we live a little bit further away now. But we wanted to go to one of our favorite restaurants. Well, you know what happened instead? And then something else, of course, was supposed to happen earlier. Before that, fun stuff. I'll leave it at that. But you know what happened instead? I get back to back to back calls from people from work, right? Got a call. We had to have the locks changed recently at my place of work at all 5 stores. And the person that worked last night at one of the stores, my home store actually, forgot to leave a key for the next person coming in today in an inconspicuous spot so they can actually get in. So he wasn't able to get in. Then I get a call from another coworker of mine, and it happened to her as well. And then I got a call from another person. And what was funny about the third time, it wasn't like a third strike. I actually got this one because it was incumbent upon me, actually, for this third person to leave a key for them. And I did leave a key for them too. I just forgot to tell them. So as soon as I answered the phone, I didn't even give them a chance to talk, and I actually kind of felt bad about it. But as soon as I saw her name come up, I was like, oh no, I forgot to tell her where I left the key. So as soon as I answered the phone, I was like, the key is here. And she was like, oh, wait, how am I supposed to get in? I was like, no, it's around the back, it's outside. She's like, oh, okay. So she was able to get in. But 2 of the stores got opened up a little bit later because people forgot to leave keys for them. So thus, I actually had to get up and I had to run up to the store to let them in. To one of them, my home store. The other store, she was able to eventually get in, but to my home store, I had to run up there. Now, mind you, while it's usually only like 20-25 minutes, with traffic, it can be anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes away. So, of course, as I'm going there, shit just starts hitting the fan. Like, it just kept going. And I'm just like, what in the world is going on with this day, man? What is going on with this day? Like, and if I just even go back to like that time frame too, because it was around 10:30ish, 11:30ish, it was around this time that everything started going. Like, that moon had just entered into that dark moon phase when this was going on this morning, for me anyways. So on the way there, we on this main highway. So we have one highway that goes all the way around Atlanta. It's called 285, and of course there's like a concrete like median, right? Well, there was a massive hole in the median. I didn't see the car or truck that did it, but there was a massive hole in the median, so that caused traffic to back up. I don't know what hit it. It probably happened last night, but something hit it. So that was going on. It kind of slowed down traffic a little bit on my side, but it was more so on the other side of the highway that it was affecting. And I was like, great, I'm going to have to come back in that. So I'm hearing sirens and, all kinds of stuff around me. It just felt like chaos. And I'm like, I kept reminding myself, I was like, all right, because honestly, by the time I had started driving, I was already listening to my own thing. Oh, and that's the other thing too. My Bluetooth for my phone, so my phone connecting to the my car, the VP who's in town right now had called me, and something weird had happened with the communication with it, and it ended up being to where I can only like hear him like actually on the phone itself, not through the Bluetooth on my car. That was weird. And I was trying to fix it on the way there after the call, but I couldn't and stuff like that. So that happened. Someone hit the freaking wall. And then I eventually get to the store. I stayed just for a tiny bit, because VP was there as well. He's meeting one of our new people. I know that none of this seems like it's really relevant, but yeah, I promise you it is. So that ends up happening. And I look, and I'm like, well, I know there's going to be traffic on the way home, right? Oh, the other thing too, the whole morning was a story. This all happened to me within like the first few hours of my day. I get a call where I get a text like, hey, the key for this other store is not working. The one that I left for the other person. And I'm like, it does work. It's just a little rough. It's not easy. I had to wrap my shirt around my hand. Otherwise, the key would have dug into the side of my fingers. I had to do that in order to get it open. So not ideal, but it worked, right? Anyways, all of that got situated. Stores are open. Everything's fine. I'm on my way back. I'm trying to avoid the highway in particular. So I try to go around the spot where that hole was in the median. And there's another accident. I'm sitting here on the exit ramp for an extended period of time because there was another accident. There's just been accidents all over today. It's just been crazy. And it actually was pretty freaking gnarly. It was like 4 vehicles involved. One barely had any damage. There was a giant truck, like a giant box truck, not like an 18-wheeler, but like another, just like a shorter box truck. Then there was 2 cars that were absolutely destroyed. One of them, the entire backside was pushed in, and the other one, it looked like it looked like Godzilla had come and just took a chomp out of the car. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I hope they're okay. Like, honestly, because I'm a Scorpio and I'm Pluto ruled, I'm like, damn it, I don't know if anyone survived that. But I'm looking, I was like, damn, I guess it could be a lot worse. But it just seemed like there was just thing after thing after thing that was happening this morning. It was wild. It was wild. And then I finally get off the highway, or I finally get off the exit ramp. Finally get on the highway, get off, and then of course, as I'm sitting there, maybe just a few minutes from home, I hear this siren go, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Because I've heard it before, and apparently they're just testing the sirens. But I didn't know what it was until my wife told me. And things just kind of got pushed back and back and back and delayed and delayed. And that's just kind of how this time is right now. That's just kind of where this thing is right now. Things are going to get pushed back. Things are going to get delayed. I had to maintain a positive attitude throughout this. One of the great things that helped me during this was that on the way to lunch, my wife was playing some music. She was driving. She was playing some awesome music. On the way back, she was playing some awesome music. And we're just sitting there karaoke and jamming out in the car, whatever like that. It was fun. It was just maintaining a positive attitude. And that's what you have to do to change your situation to move forward. Now, things aren't going to always go exactly the way that you plan. Like, this was definitely feeling like a hump day for me, right? Things kept getting pushed back and stuff. But that's just kind of how it is right now, And we have to learn how to be okay with that. You have to learn how to be okay with that, right? So, this Wednesday, we're going to see, of course, this moon. It is going to hit that 19th degree. It is going to square Saturn. This is towards the end of the day, right? And because this is in that last 30 degrees to the sun, and it's having a bit of a 12th house aspect to the sun, and Saturn is actually in the natural 12th house, but the 9th house to this Cancer. This is about, whether or not you believe that you can have this beautiful world, where you can have this more positive outlook. Do you believe it? That's the whole thing about this, too. Do you actually believe it? And, I think communication obviously is key here. We got to be able to tell ourselves more positive things. And, like I said, we don't necessarily want to just stick our head in the sand. That's not what this is doing. And this Mercury opposed Pluto won't let us. That's the thing about this. This Mercury is wanting to speak more positive affirmations and more loving stuff. And, these positive affirmations, this passion, this creativity, and all this sort of stuff, the fun energy that Leo is. They want to speak more of that, but Pluto is providing that check, if you will, that we have to still pay attention to reality. We have to pay attention to the fact that this Pluto is going to go back in to Capricorn, and we're not done with this energy. We're not done with it. We still have a lot of work to do here, albeit coming to its close. But yes, we are at the edge of a fucking cliff. We are at the edge of this society as we know it. Can you maintain a positive attitude and a positive outlook despite all this? And that's kind of what this comes down to. So this moon square Saturn, like I said, whenever the moon makes aspects, you feel it and then it kind of wears off, right? You'll feel it for the few hours leading up to the exact moment. Then it happens, then you'll feel it for a little bit afterwards, right? So it's like, especially if it's like a major aspect too. So that's the thing with this one right here, is that I think by the end of the day, we probably do get some sort of information that comes through or some sort of knowledge, even though Saturn is retrograde here. and that moon's in Gemini, wanting to kind of keep things light and keep things fun, yeah, I think there's a curiosity here to try and see what's actually possible with the Saturn retrograde in Pisces. But the dangerous part of the Saturn retrograde in Pisces is that people are going to start to neglect their responsibilities and thinking that they can just let them go when really you can't. But this is also a great time to hone in on your responsibilities, because when Saturn comes forward, then that's when the rewards will come, especially once it comes out of its shadow. So this is not a time to neglect your responsibilities. This is a time to kind of even hone in on them a little bit more. This is about maintaining the spiritual integrity, And the moon squaring the Saturn is going to still remind us that emotionally, yes, we may want more facts and may want more of the truth and stuff. But that's the thing. Not Saturn. Gemini represents truth. It's not Sag. Sag is belief. That's different, right? It's Gemini that represents the truth, And it can be rapid, it can be fast, whereas Jupiter likes to take its time with things, right? So that's Wednesday. That's hump day, right? Now we move into Thursday, right? And we're not really going to see a whole lot going on here. We're really just going to be seeing the moon make aspects, right? So we'll see the moon is going to sextile over to Chiron, right? And then we're going to see the moon is also going to make a nice little square over to Neptune at 29 degrees towards, in the mid-afternoon, you say. We'll see that square over to Neptune. And then it'll enter into Cancer, so it'll go into its home. And then it's going to immediately make that nice little awkward quincunx over to Pluto. And that's pretty much Thursday. So it's like we're going to be kind of pulled in a nice opportunity looking aspect with the Chiron and Aries with that moon, and then it'll automatically have this square to the Neptune aspect, and then we get this awkward stare to Pluto. So it's interesting. I think it's like we get like this positive energy here with the Chiron, where it's like, you know what, we can take our wounding or our traumas or our superpowers, usually, like I said, if you look at a lot of superhero origin stories, it usually comes off the back of some sort of trauma. And that's why I call Chiron the key to your superpowers. Whether or not you actually use them is another story. Whether or not you actually develop your superpowers is another story. Most people don't really get to actually develop their superpowers. They just get stuck on the wound itself. They get stuck on the trauma itself. But they never actually develop their superpowers. That's the second part to the Chiron that people don't understand, that I'm just thinking now, it's like I should explain a little bit more. Because Chiron is not necessarily the easiest planet to deal with. It's awkward, it's weird, but it's at the same time one of the greatest teachers here. So this moon that's going to be in Gemini is going to be sextiling it. It's saying that, you know what, especially because Gemini is all about communication and like kind of like getting to know different people. It's like, who gives a fuck about your so long as your weirdness isn't negatively impacting other people, right? And is robbing or taking away from other people, who gives a fuck? Right? Who gives a fuck about like hiding themselves and not being weird and not expressing who they really are truly authentically, Just do it. I think that's the thing about this moon sextile Chiron. It's like, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, we're all a little bit weird, okay? We're all a little bit weird. And I think that's the thing about the Chiron and Aries that I hope is sort of like revealing, is that like so many people that think that they're weird or outside the box or outside the norm or a rebel, you realize that you're probably like a million other people. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's some uniqueness to you. If you buy a reading from me, you would see that because astrology shows you a unique celestial blueprint. But it's like people keep trying to use that as like, oh, I'm weird. Oh, I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. Like, everyone tries to use that, And it's like, yeah. But at the same time, are you being a little bit obnoxious about it? That's the other thing, too, about Gemini, is that Gemini is a young child that is super curious about the world and will just yap, and talk, and can be a little bit obnoxious. So that's the thing. Like, Are you going to be obnoxious about whatever this Chiron thing you got going on is? Or are you going to kind of see the lessons in that, the beauty in that, and actually use that to connect with people, maybe to teach or educate other people, but don't be obnoxious about it. And don't try and and that's the other part about this too, with the sextiles. Like, even though it's an opportunity, Chiron is still kind of a weird, awkward energy. This is the words are you going to other people? You're going to other them, put them in a box, say that they are only this thing, or you're going to other yourself. Don't limit yourself. I feel like a lot of times, especially with this Chiron and Aries, people are limiting themselves and limiting who they are and who they could be. No, don't limit yourself with this, right? What is true freedom? You know what I'm saying? What is true freedom? And this, of course, is happening on July 1st, right? The 4th of July, which we celebrate, at least here in America, freedom. And I know a lot of people do not think that they are free. But you have to ask yourself, what is true freedom to you? You know something that my dad used to do, and he still kind of does? He had a bandana with the rebel flag on it, and he would wear it. And did not give a fuck what anybody thought. You know? And he's successful. He's still here. He's still alive. He's still kicking. Who cares? You know, the moon and Gemini will get... This is when you can get emotionally volatile, too, with the sextile to Chiron. That's how it starts off, too. So it's even though it's a positive aspect, it's sensitive. Because it's Chiron. It's sensitive, right? It's like you keep pointing out that I have a bum leg. You know what I'm saying? Or a bum arm. This should turn that arm into a bionic arm. But I'm still saying, even though my dad did that, he's just expressing that's true freedom. Not allowing a symbol or something like that, or something from the past that doesn't really have anything to do with you. Not allowing those things to take control of who you are and how you express yourself. That's the big thing. For the longest time, I didn't really care about wearing anything related to America. Now I have multiple shirts in there with freaking eagles on it and stuff like that, and I have a hat with the American flag on it and stuff too. Because there was a moment there where I didn't, I wasn't very patriotic, and as far as I wouldn't say I am patriotic per se. I think more so I can appreciate greatly the opportunities afforded to me just because I was born here, right? Now, we have a long way to go, obviously, here in America, as we all do as a human species, but, I can appreciate it. So true freedom was freeing myself from the idea that I couldn't have some type of respect or even love for this place that I live. And that goes for, you can put that with anything, right? That can go for anything in your life. There are some things that subconsciously you probably really want to express some type of affinity for, but you're worried about what other people are going to say. And that's really more of an Aquarius thing with the Pluto opposed Mercury. You're worried about what other people are going to say. Some people care about what other people think or about what they say. Let a little gossip coming from a loose lip ruin our perfect day. Are you going to let that ruin your day? I think that's the thing about this too, right? So that's the other thing about the moon sextile over the Chirons. That can definitely be gossip, and you don't gossip that may or may not be true, but you have to actually go and talk to that person. And that's kind of the point of this. You actually have to go and talk to that person. It's hey, I heard this about you. Is that true? No, that's far from the truth. Or maybe it is true. I think this sextile is going to be hopefully lightening the load so we don't care as much and don't just hyper react to our triggers with the Chiron, right? Because everyone's so hyper reactive right now. We'll see the moon square over to Neptune, right? So bam, we get an interesting smack with the reality where we're going to be emotionally feeling on the edge with this Thursday. So, you know, probably from like 2 to like, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. At 3 hours, people are going to be on edge. Why? Because it's squaring Neptune that just went retrograde. So you may actually come into some interesting information, and it's going to trigger some feelings, some rather intense on the edge feelings, because this is 29 degrees of squaring a Neptune. That's at 29 degrees. Not only that, but this moon is getting ready to, what does it do later? It quincunxes Pluto. Which means that there's going to be some information that comes up with that thing with the Pluto and Aquarius that's going to be a little bit awkward, but we have to learn how to accept it and have to learn how to nurture ourselves through it. That's the whole moon coming into Cancer. We have to learn how to accept it. We have to learn how to nurture ourselves. We have to know how to find compassion for ourselves and find compassion for other people. That's what it comes down to when the moon shifts into Cancer like that. So now, as we move forward, going into Friday, we have a couple things that are going to start to build up. One, we have a Mars in sextile to Saturn that's going to be building up. And we also have a Venus that's going to be in square to Chiron. That's going to be building up. Now, mind you, that Venus square Chiron is going to be more towards the tail end of the day. The Mars sextile Saturn, you'll be feeling more throughout the day. Now, we will also see this moon here. It's going to also square the nodes right before it hits the new moon. So it's going to be squaring those nodes at 10 degrees. We can see that Mars at 1919 and we have 1923 respectively for those. But let's talk about this aspect. Well, number one, Mars is in Taurus is where we're finding our resilience right now. And the sextile over to Saturn is saying that, you know, the dream could definitely be possible, but it is going to require some work and some effort. We got to remember that Mars is like the foot soldier and Saturn is the commander, right? But Saturn is retrograde. Saturn's not really giving out too many orders right now. This is when, and that's the thing about this time, it's like you have to learn how to be a little bit more self-reliant here. And there's an opportunity for a lot of great growth here with this sextile and this Mars at 19 making the sextile over to Saturn. This is about finding our resilience. You know, maybe it's not so much that you're not getting instructions from maybe a boss, God, whatever like that, or if you're, you know, if you're a kid, your parents and shit. Excuse me. But maybe it comes a little bit slower. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe things are a little bit delayed, you know? We got to learn how to find some self-reliance here. And of course, with the moon in Cancer, we're wanting to feel comforted through all this, especially as it squares the nodes. It's going to square the north node. It's going to square the south node. Square into the north node, which is being disposited by this Mars in Taurus and sextile to Saturn, is saying that, like, shoot, you absolutely have the ability to be independent in this moment, take on the challenges and move forward. Even though it may not necessarily feel the best, you would almost feel better by accepting the, you know, like this level of personal responsibility and integrity and moving forward. Or you can go towards the south node, which is with Black Moon Lilith, and just try and like continually weigh things out, wait, balance, stretch the truth, lie. I'm not saying that all Libras lie, but y'all do like to interpret things in a different way. Libras, judges are ruled by Libra, like actual judges. They are there to interpret the law, right? And just because something is a law doesn't necessarily mean that it is moral. At one point, it was okay to have slaves, right? Until it was struck down. Just like it was okay for a lot of things to happen until they were struck down. So that's the thing. Are you going to go towards the Aries energy, which of course we were reminded earlier in the on Thursday with the moon that was in sextile to Chiron? We were reminded, are we going to go more in this direction, even if it may feel a little bit weird or awkward with the Chiron there, and maybe we want a little bit more direction? But this is about, like I said, learning how to stand on our own 2 feet, learning how to comfort ourselves through these situations. Or are we going to go the route of Libra, where the South Node is, and Black Moon Lilith, and just want things are just given to us? Are we just going to, it's like, I don't know. The way I'm kind of seeing it, it's like, it's not as balanced and fair as we like it to be, and that's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think that this is a day that can offer us some great opportunities, though, to really see what we're capable of. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I think it's like, what are you really capable of? Things that you might have doubted yourself on before. What are you actually capable of? Now, as the day progresses, we'll see, of course, the new moon happen at 14 degrees here. Now, like I said, I wanted to bring your attention to some other things that are happening, because this new moon at 14 degrees is exactly opposed Ceres in Capricorn at 14 degrees. We also have Mars at 19 degrees exactly opposed Pallas Athena at 19 degrees. We also have Juno and Virgo exactly opposed Saturn at 19 degrees. So we have all of these oppositions that are happening. And I think it's interesting that 3 of those planets are retrograde and 3 of them are not. The 3 that are in retrograde or are in the review period, Saturn in Pisces, Ceres in Capricorn, and Athena in Scorpio. The ones that are going forward, Juno and Virgo. Of course, the new moon, because the moon always is moving forward. Same with the sun. And Mars in Taurus, right? So let's drill down with this one. Well, new moon in Cancer. That's where the moon likes to be, right? It's fresh, brings about a fresh, new slate, especially emotionally. Whenever we get to the new moon in Cancer, that's what it brings with this, like this fresh slate of emotional energy, emotional integrity. But I think because it's his Cancer, and Cancer is all about nurturing and the healing aspect, it's the mystic of the zodiac in many ways, the healer of the zodiac in many ways, the cleric, the high priestess energy, it's opposing Ceres. Now, Ceres is a minor asteroid, and Ceres rules over things such as, it's a sickle, right? So it rules over things such as agriculture, but it also rules over motherhood. It also rules over the relationship that people have to their parents, especially the mother, but the mother and the father represents that energy. It represents nurturing as well. It's in Capricorn, which is not the most nurturing sign. So I would say that this Ceres is negatively afflicted, especially being retrograde in Capricorn. It probably would much rather be in Cancer, where the new moon is happening. So that's the thing about this. It's like, if the new moon in Cancer is in many ways sort of representative of the inner child, the Ceres is sort of like the aspect of ourself that does the nurturing, that does do the taking care of the inner child. It's the parent, which is in retrograde in Capricorn, right? So that's what's weird about this, is that we have to learn how to nurture ourselves through this time. And we also have to know that our relationship with our parents, or who we consider to be like that sort of parental figure in our life, that they are going through their evolution as well, that they are changing as well, that they are in the smack middle of all this Capricorn energy, right? And that's the thing about this. Now, to add other layers onto this new moon moment where we have asteroids opposing other energies. So we have the 14 degrees to the 14 degrees here. We also have Saturn, which in many ways is, I call it the planet of adulting. It opposed Juno. This is probably not the best day to get married, I'm not going to lie. I just, even though it is a new moon, even though Venus is in Cancer, it's squaring Chiron. I don't think this is necessarily the best day to get married. I don't know if it'll last. I'm not going to lie. Because Juno is all about commitment. And with Saturn that's retrograde, Saturn is reconsidering commitments. We're reconsidering commitments right now with Saturn. We're trying to figure out what commitments make sense. And because this is mutable, things are subject to change. Right? So listen, we're reconsidering what we actually are really committed to and what we're willing to do the hard work for. And then you have Mars that's opposing Pallas Athena. Athena is in Scorpio retrograde, right? Now, Athena, it represents wisdom, especially like wartime wisdom. But Athena was also, of course, the guardian of Athens. Hence her name was Athena. And she was born, she's not exactly the most emotional goddess. She's very unemotional. She was born from her father's head, right? So she didn't even come from a female. Think of like the lore of it. So she's very logical, very methodical, right? And they're in Scorpio, which is about these deeper feelings, and Pallas Athena probably doesn't really like that. Much rather be in a logical place. But it's also, ironically, an interesting place for her because since she was the guardian of Athens, I like to think of Athena as boundaries and guardianship. This Mars in Taurus, which is looking to have a little bit more resilience here, Athena right now, she is working on her boundaries, especially retrograde in Scorpio. So that's the thing about this. People's boundaries are probably just kind of like off a bit, you know? They're off a bit. So we got to check our boundaries. That's the thing. Like, this is a time where we may go a bit over the edge a little bit because we're trying to find a way how to nurture ourselves. Spiritual responsibility and integrity is kind of up in the air with the retrograde. And Athena doesn't even know her boundaries right now. So it will be easy if we don't necessarily have the resilience with the Mars and Taurus to do something that pushes the boundaries too far. It would be easy right now with this new moon in Cancer opposing this series that's retrograded in Capricorn to blame our parents for everything and to not know how to nurture our own self and to expect everyone else around us to parent ourselves when we won't even give our inner child that energy. It's easy right now to do that. It is easy right now to be like, you know what, screw the spiritual responsibility with the Saturn and Pisces retrograde and just go more like, and that's the thing about Juno and Virgo too. It's like, is looking at our day-to-day reality, what we're committed to and stuff like that. And yes, in many ways it does deal with marriage and relationships. Like, you don't want to, that's the, if you are married, like, just don't throw it away if things are slightly uncomfortable or things aren't perfect or whatever have you. Like, that can happen too with a Saturn opposed Juno as well. Or maybe you find out that your partner was cheating or something like that. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, the energy is kind of ripe for it. It's like, we can do this. But it's easy to get caught up in the riptide. This is why we have to maintain a positive attitude. We have to maintain a positive attitude throughout all this. So I just think it's very interesting that we have so many planets at the same time making and it's opposition, so it's battles. There's battles all over the place on Friday. And the thing is that because these are minor asteroids, the energy is going to be a little bit more subtle. But it's going to feel a lot bigger It's going to feel a lot bigger with Saturn, of course, with Mars, of course, because Mars can be very dramatic, and then, of course, a new moon in Cancer, right? It's going to feel, people are going to feel like the world is not nurturing them, especially with Ceres being inside of Capricorn. This is like people believing that everybody in the world has to cater to their traumas, their needs, their wants, and it's like they won't give it to themselves, or they won't go to the people that will give it to them. And it's also this element here where people are creating echo chambers where they're constantly comforted and they're never confronted with any type of struggle, any type of hardship. That's the other part about this that's dangerous, is that people are trying to eliminate hardship. They're trying to eliminate opposition. They're trying to eliminate any type of differing idea or belief. And just automatically claiming that it's violent. Mars is in Taurus, right? Okay? Yes. The bull doesn't necessarily need to be provoked right now, right? But if you provoke the bull's going to rampage. But the bull would much rather just chill and eat some freaking dandelions or some psychedelic mushrooms or something like that. Especially with Uranus there, right? We don't need to go provoking the bull. That's the cool thing about this, though, is that Mars is in sextile to Saturn during this energy, so it's, there's some nice opportunities that are opening up. Pallas Athena is trining Saturn, right? So it's like, even though our boundaries are maybe a little bit weird, or we're trying to figure out where are the boundaries, how do we guard ourselves, how can we strategize? Like I said, Pallas Athena is all about strategizing as well. This new moon is going to be a pretty intense one. Not gonna lie. So, I just thought it was interesting that all of this was happening. All these oppositions were happening at once. It's like, and you're probably not going to hear too many other astrologers talk about this, because most astrologers don't talk about the minor asteroids. But they are still aspects of our consciousness, and they still need to be taken into consideration. So, that's Friday. Now, Saturday is another one of those days where it's really just the moon making aspects. It's going to be, and we'll just run through it real fast. Moon, 19 degrees here. It's going to trine Saturn at 19 degrees as well, joining up with that 19 energy. So we actually do get a grand water trine between Saturn, the moon, and Athena, all of which, of course, that moon will be in sextile to Mars, which is still in sextile to Saturn. So like I said, there's some positive energy here. There's some positive healing energy here, where we can learn how to comfort ourselves through this changing world. I think that's the other part about this too, with the Athena in Scorpio, is that it's bringing up certain desires, because Scorpio is about our desires. But Mars in Taurus is asking us, especially with opposition to Athena, and Athena is wanting us to strategize and think a little bit deeper. Do we actually want it? Or do we want other people to see or think that we want it? What do we care about more? Do we actually want it, or do we want other people to see us with the thing? And it makes you think a little bit differently. And it also makes you realize what's truly important to you and not. Whether or not you're doing something for, quote unquote, the right reasons, if you will. But this can bring up a nice, beautiful healing moment when the moon does this. So it's going to trine Saturn. It's going to sextile Mars. It's going to, and as you can see, this Venus, I said the Venus Chiron square has been building up, and I didn't even talk really about that with Friday, because it built up and built up, and we're going to probably feel it more on Saturday, even though it's going to be coming off of the square exact, but it's still going to be in square to it. But we'll see this moon join up with Venus and square over to Chiron. Venus is trying to receive here in Cancer. Definitely trying to feel better, feel good, surround itself with beautiful things. Venus is like, Cancer is like our sanctuary. It's our home. With the square to Chiron, though, you could be dealing with some weird things. Maybe a bug gets inside. Maybe something goes weird with like the, maybe something breaks and you have to get it fixed, Or maybe you get some unwanted company on Saturday. It is Saturday, too. A lot of people are going to be spending time with their family and stuff, too. That's the other thing about this, because it's 4th of July weekend. So a lot of people are going to be spending time with their family. The square over to Chiron is that weird uncle or that weird aunt that always has something weird to say or always has some weird adventure. It's like, are you going to get super triggered by what they say, whatever like that? Or are you going to like listen deeper and see what's actually there? I'm like, oh no, who invited them? Well, they're a part of the family too. They're a part of the family too. And you may be that person in some group where like, oh my gosh, they're there. But you may also be the person, you probably are the person where it's like, I think it was like one of the things I was listening to, just briefly. It's like by Alan Watts. It's like one of the most tragic things that humans will ever experience is the realization that more people love them than they realize. And that's probably something that we realize towards the end of our life, or maybe even after we die, whatever like that. We realize that there are so many more people that actually loved us for who we were than we ever would realize. And I think that's part of this too. I think so many people, especially with Venus and Cancer, want to receive that love and receive that nurturing, but it's hard for them to receive, especially with the square to Chiron, because like, oh, they're not going to like me because I have this weird thing going on with me. Especially with the Chiron and Aries, this is about your physical appearance as well. So it's like, that's the thing. People may get really, really sensitive on this Saturday because they might be like, oh, well, shoot, I have a mole on my face, or oh, I have like a weird walk, whatever like that, or oh, I have, I have a really long pinky, or I have a black toenail, or, it's like, oh, my butt's flat, or, I don't have the biggest tits, or maybe my tits are too big. Like, it's like every single thing, like, it's always something. Like, I remember me and my wife, we were watching something, like some sort of clip, essentially where it was talking about like the 90s and early 2000s, and how mean society was to women, and thinking that they were fat and need to lose weight. And I'm looking at these women, I'm like, these women look great. What are you talking about? This is nowhere near fat. What I would consider that anyways. But even like objectively, it's nowhere near it. But back then, it was a big deal. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. So it's like, that's the thing about this too. It's like, can you receive and accept yourself with this moon conjunct Venus on Chiron? This moon on Venus is great. It's bringing some nice energy. It's very positive. They're the most positive planets, +6 and +5 respectively. But the square to Chiron does make it a little bit awkward. Does make it a little bit different. Now we'll see, of course, that moon, as it's coming off that square to Chiron, it will sextile over to Uranus. And then by the end of the day, it will make a trine over to Neptune. So you see that we have a couple of days where it's really just the moon making aspects. It's Thursday, then Friday's the big day, and Saturday, where it's just the moon making aspects. And most of them are positive. Trines, sextiles, conjunction. You have the one square to Chiron, but yeah, it's mostly positive. Then you go into Sunday, and it's the same thing. It's just the moon making aspects. It goes into Leo, which, yes, it's going to bring about some nice positive energy, of course. And it does oppose Pluto. Like, that's going to be a bit difficult, obviously. But again, Mercury was already there, so we already kind of have a bit of an understanding mentally. It's just now the emotions are kind of catching up to it with the moon opposed Pluto. And that's like early in the morning. So by the time that most people wake up here in America, we're not even going to feel this energy. Maybe in Europe you will, but we're not even going to really feel it. Because I guess in Europe, it'll be like what? In your early morning, right? So you'll wake up with this, right? Or if you're in another part of the world, this might be like in the middle part of your day. I don't know exactly where everyone is watching me from. So we'll see that happen. And then we'll see this moon. What's it going to do? It's going to conjunct Mercury at 8 degrees, right? It's going to sextile Jupiter while it's in conjunction. It's going to be really close. It's going to be in sextile to Jupiter here at 9 degrees. It's also going to trine the north node and sextile the south node. So we see we have multiple days where it's really just the moon making aspects. 3 out of the 7 days to be precise. Not that other things won't be happening, but they'll either will be tightening or loosening as far as other planets and what aspects that they're making to each other. For example, we do have this closing conjunction of Mars and Uranus. We have Venus, which is getting ready to trine Neptune, right? So we have some things that are kind of closing in and everything, but it's not quite. Like we have the sun that's getting ready to trine Saturn. But you see that these are mostly positive aspects, trines and sextiles. And we can see that this moon going into Leo, like I said, this is about maintaining the positive attitude throughout all this. You know, have fun. Be like a child. Be light. Look on the positive side of things. Try and find positive solutions. Laugh things off if things go awry. Because I felt like a lot of it is not necessarily really big, massive stuff. It's going to be, especially, like I said, because of that new moon is involved with aspects to smaller asteroids and stuff like that, that a lot of them are probably going to be minor inconveniences. We have to learn how to laugh it off. Have to learn how to have fun. Turn the music on. Have karaoke. You know, get the goosebumps. Find a way to give yourself goosebumps. Watch a funny TV show or a comedy routine, right? Go to a comedy show. Do something fun. Like that's what this weekend's going to be all about. Especially with it being 4th of July week and everything like that, it is so easy to just worry and lament and fear the future and the hypotheticals and what could be and what could. I'm seeing so much of that right now where people are just afraid of the future. People are afraid of what happens if Biden wins, what happens if Trump wins. Like everyone's just so many people are afraid. I mean, they've forgotten about the astrology. They forgot that it's not the end of the world. Neptune is not going to just stop and stay at 29 degrees of Pisces forever, right? It will come into Aries. Same with Saturn. Pluto is not just going to go back into Capricorn and stay at 29 degrees of Capricorn forever. No, it will come back forward into Aquarius. It's not the end of the world. People forgot about their astrology. They don't even know their astrology. So they can't even see that, yes, we are at the end of a lot of different cycles, which means that we are at the beginning of fresh new cycles, new beginnings, which means that there is so much opportunity out there for every single last one of us to live the good life. And that's why you need to maintain a positive attitude throughout this week. There are things that we cannot control. We can spend all day thinking about the hypotheticals, but until it actually comes, a lot of times, it's not nearly as bad as we think it is. A lot of times. Now, we still got some stuff to go through. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I'm saying that you still maintain a positive attitude throughout this. How else can anybody do some of the most dangerous jobs in this world? Yeah, maybe they have some dark humor. Police officers, people that work on like oil rigs or like really dangerous jobs like that. People that do mining, people that go to war. Yeah, these are very dangerous occupations that people take on, right? And I know that they have dark humor because I've heard some of it. It is dark humor, but that's the way that they get through it. So it's like people have forgotten how to laugh. People have forgotten how to have fun. People have forgotten, it's like, shoot, tell an offensive joke. People are so upset at offensive jokes. I love offensive jokes. They're funny. Because if you rap volatily, then that means that it's true. But if it's not true, you can just laugh it off. People can't even laugh at an offensive joke anymore. Everyone's so sensitive and so offended by every little thing. And we all have the things that offend us. We all have our sensitivities. But it's not up to the world to completely 100% cater to our little echo chamber and what we absolutely need. You have to be able to give that to yourself. So if you choose, because even though with astrology, as I'm learning, is that we have moments of free will, but we're not. It's more like a fate thing. But we do have moments of free will. But because God gave us these moments of free will, that yes, you can choose, if you so choose and have the freedom to do so, to put yourself in the loudest echo chamber you want, and that makes you feel good and comforted and fine and not anxious, whatever. Then you can do that. You can do that, and I love you for it. You do you, boo. But you can't also expect 8 billion plus people to do the same thing that you're doing, or exactly what you're doing, or exactly do things exactly the way that you want them to do, because it's just not going to happen. We're all too different for that. We're all too different for that. And that is the true beauty of this world, is that we are all unique individuals. We can have a lot of similarities, but we are all unique individuals. And that's where the spice of life comes from, is learning about the different people that come in and out of our lives. If you can just think about over the last year, think about the people that have come in and out of your lives. Think about the people that came in for like 6 months and then were gone. The people that came in for maybe 3 months. The people that have been in your life, that maybe have been in your life for 5 years. All the different people. It's amazing the sheer number of people that we meet on a given day, in a given month, in a given year. And now think that each single one of those people have a super complex and intricate life just like you. We have to learn how to love each other and to appreciate each other and to commune with each other and to have fellowship with each other and to laugh with each other and to play with each other, instead of always being at each other's throats because maybe we have a sensitivity here or something happened to us here or whatever have you. Yes, have your values, know your worth, absolutely. But especially if someone doesn't know your triggers, don't fucking take it out on them. It's getting old. It's getting old at this point. And I don't have a problem with saying it. It's getting old at this point. So, Monday, that moon continues. We will see a couple different things that are happening. We have one, that moon is going to hit 19 degrees of Leo. And it's going to make a nice little quincunx over to Saturn at 19 degrees. And it's going to square Mars, and it will trine Chiron as well. Won't quite get to the square with Uranus. That's going to be Monday night going into Tuesday, but it will happen. We also will see this Mercury in a beautiful sextile to this Jupiter at 9 degrees. And we also will see Venus in a beautiful sextile to this Uranus at 26 degrees. This is a day, Monday, especially after the weekend, where it's like, yes, we can learn how to love our neighbor. That's really what this comes down to, especially since it's dealing with Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. How can we love our neighbor? How can we value each other? How can we pick each other up? How can we speak positively about someone or into someone? It's as simple, especially with Mercury and Jupiter, it's as simple as commenting. It's like, oh, I love your shirt. Right? So people are so afraid to give compliments nowadays, right? I've noticed that. People used to give more compliments, but people don't do it as much anymore. Everyone's so afraid and so cramped up and trapped, whatever like that. If you see something nice, comment on it. Oh, because you never know how that's going to help with their vibration. Oh, your shirt's very pretty. Oh, I like your eyes. Oh, you have a nice energy. You have a beautiful smile. Oh, just simple stuff. Yeah, and you have no idea how far that goes. Now, some people might be like, oh, are you trying to hit on me? I'm like, no, maybe. But like, no, I'm not trying to hit on you. I'm just saying, like, just compliment people. And that's the thing. With the Venus, too, with the sextile to Uranus, takes it even more up. Because then it shows that you value that person or that aspect of that person so much that you are willing to verbally, Mercury, speak love into the reflection of who they are to you, because Gemini is a reflection, right? And then Jupiter is there wanting to expand upon that energy and bring it out more and make it bigger, make it happy, more positive. Now, that's the thing about this Monday. It's like, speak positive affirmations into the world. Speak positively to other people. Compliment people Monday. I challenge you to compliment 5 people. Maybe 9 because it's 9 degrees, right? But 5 people. Compliment 5 people. They can be people that you know, and they can be random people. I think it would be beneficial for at least 2 to 3 of them to be random people that you've never met or only have met once, but to just compliment them and see how you feel. It's like, it's actually a nice feeling to do that, you know? And if you receive the compliment, it does kind of make your day a little bit, doesn't it? So why would you not want to spread that kind of energy? We need to do more of that stuff. Not get so trapped into Neptune at the end of Pisces and Saturn in Pisces. You know, I don't get too trapped in that. Oh, it's all over. It's over. Oh, I can't do this. And then the Pluto here at the end of Aquarius, like, oh my God, I can't fit in anywhere. Everyone's crazy. I just want to go into my room and just be there forever and eat bugs. I'm going to get in the pot and eat bugs. The universe is saying to go outside and say hi to your neighbor. That's what the universe is saying. Say hi to your neighbor. Most people don't even know who their neighbors are anymore. At least here in America. So, like I said, we'll see the moon. It will square. It will square over to Mars, right? It will make a trine over to Chiron. So like I'm saying, like, this is like, it's a beautiful day. The hardest part about this day, I guess, is the quincunx to Saturn and the square to Mars. But even then, I feel like it's overshadowed by so many other positive things that we shouldn't even really worry about that. Because the Mars in Taurus is just about trying to be resilient and realize it's about having a warrior's heart. You know, the heart of a warrior. That's really what this comes down to with the moon squaring over to Mars. And with the quincunx over to Saturn, this is just about maintaining the spiritual integrity. And how do you maintain spiritual integrity? By living from your heart space. By living through love. Like living with love. Living on purpose. That's how you do it. It's awkward because we don't always get it. We don't always see it. Right? Sometimes we get trapped in a fog. And it's okay. Sometimes we get trapped in a fog. It's all right. It happens. You don't have to stay there, though. The fog doesn't stay forever. It's not a perpetual fog. We'll see on Tuesday. That moon, like I said, it's going to square Uranus going into... We have a lot of... and I've noticed this lately. We've had a lot of aspects, especially with the moon, where it'll make an aspect to a planet and it's happening in the middle of the night. So a lot of people won't necessarily be feeling it, except for if you're on another part of the world. But we'll see that moon, like I said, we have it going into Virgo, right? And it's going to quincunx Pluto. So we get another quincunx over to Pluto. It did it when it went into Cancer. And now we're getting it again with the Virgo. So it's like, all right, what did you learn with the whole Leo thing in between these two spots? That's the thing, too. We're going to get a little bit more information what we're kind of do with it and how we can integrate it and build some better daily habits with it. We also will see Jupiter that's going to trine the South Node and sextile the North Node. So once again, another positive energy here. And yes, generally, the more harmonious energy is the trine, but the trine to the South Node is like, look, even if... especially when it comes to relationships, even if things can seem a little bit weird. I mean, the South Node is all about like coming. It's the karma. It's like it's coming from the past. It's like what you're much more comfortable with expressing and stuff like that too, right? So, this Jupiter trining this South Node in Libra, the positive part of it, I would say, is, you know what? Even if we can't necessarily find the exact balance and harmony that we want in our life, we can still extract some type of positive energy or some type of value from these situations and from these relationships. And the sextile to the North Node is saying it's like you're probably better off extracting those energies if you are really stepping into who you really are and you know who you are. But if you don't know who you are, you're going to be afraid to even get to that point, because Black Moon Lilith is with the South Node. You'll just be afraid to even get to that point. So, and we got to remember that this Jupiter is not going to be with the fixed star Aldebaran too. So it's in the heavens right now. And I think that's the thing too, is that people don't even realize that heavenly energy is actually very much so present right now. It doesn't feel like it for some people, because they're trapped into the delusion of their own personal hell. But heavenly energy is here. Your guides are here. A lot of people, like, I can just sense, I can feel it, that a lot of people's angels and guides are with them a lot right now. And they're not necessarily intervening a whole lot, but just the simple acknowledgement of them. And I think that's like, they're all just saying, maintain positivity, be positive, keep moving forward, stay focused, smile often. That's what they're saying, because, that's what we need right now more than ever. We need people to maintain positive attitude. Your attitude is very important right now. It's very important right now. Like I said, don't just neglect things and sweep things under the rug. Don't be in denial during this, but still realize that positivity goes a long way. And your attitude goes a long way on how you deal with situations, how you deal with people, how you deal with your spirituality, how you deal with yourself, how you deal with the world. Your attitude makes a massive difference. It's how two people can be experiencing the same thing and have vastly different outcomes. It's because their attitude is different. So, let's get into the cards. I'm just going to draw some cards for the whole collective and stuff, and I trust that this message will assist you on your journey this week. So I think that new moon is going to be a very powerful one. I think the moon's going to be making some awesome aspects throughout the week. I think we have some great things lining up between the Cancer energy and the Taurus energy and the Leo energy and the Aries energy, you know what I'm saying, and the Pisces energy and the Cancer energy. There's a lot of positive things going on. There really is. And I think the good thing is that now that these planets are starting to separate out a little bit and start to spread out, we're starting to get, like I said, a bigger and clearer picture on things. And I think that's going to allow us to step more into this attitude of gratitude. You know what I'm saying? So, or not. Some people may not necessarily do that. But, like I said, I would, and you don't even have to wait until Monday. But, like, this is a time right now, it's like, yeah, compliment people. Tell people that you love them, that you care. Tell people that you like something that they did. If you're a lurker on YouTube and you've been following me or one of your favorite YouTubers for a while, comment on how they made a difference in your life and how you love their content. Because the more that you do that and the more that other people see it, the more that we spread that energy, that is the kind of energy that we need to go viral. Is lifting each other up. Ironically, I got the Death card. It just flew out of the deck. But I think really what this is, it's a transformation. Because you see this card, right? You see, even though it is the Death card, you see the color in there, in the beauty. It's kind of giving me more of like the Dia de los Muertos kind of vibes, and the Sugar Skulls kind of vibes. It's like we can take something that seems, it's like you could take something that represents death and the decay, and you can paint it up, you can color it, you can make it beautiful, and you can see the movie Coco. It's one of my favorite movies. Disney movie, or like, yeah, it's one of my favorite Disney movies, especially like of these newer age ones. But like, this is about like, we can transform our reality. We really can. How do we transform it? Through our attitude. We have to have that attitude of gratitude. This death card does not scare me in the slightest here. It doesn't scare me in the slightest. It's not a scary card. Especially if it's death itself, because that just means it's over, it's finito, it's done. It's not the scary part. It's the anticipation, the leading up to it that's the most scary. I have the Two of Swords. This is the card I drew today in my daily. We have the Two of Swords. So I think this is sort of like a, think before you act, think before you move, I have also the Page of Wands. Yep, definitely think before you move, think before you act. This is the Page of Wands too. But like I said, this is some beautiful energy here. It really is. How we can become more of a student of love. With the Wands, is fire, energy is passionate. So we can become a student again and learn how to actually be magical. What's in here? It's like I see the Sagittarius symbol in here. I see there's like I think that's a dragon in the back. I'm pretty sure that's a dragon in the back, right? It looks like a dragon anyways. What else we got here? Just kind of keep it moving, kind of see what this story unfolds. I have the Emperor card. I also have the Five of Wands. I think really what this is coming down to is that like maybe we feel like we've been given some orders and we feel like these orders are going to be the death of us. So we're wondering whether or not we should do it. We're kind of stalemating ourselves with the Two of Swords. It's like we are this Page of Wands, if you will. And it's like maybe we have to go conquer the dragon. In order to conquer the dragon, we have to almost like be the dragon in a sense. The Emperor kind of gave us the marching orders. And we're trying to figure out, why per se. And then we have this Five of Wands energy. But this is like two dogs are fighting and neither of them really have eyes. And it's like a bird there. The bird is like your guide telling you to stop fighting with yourself. The bird is like one of your guides, your angels, telling you to stop fighting with yourself. Stop holding yourself back. Stop falling for the trick. Stop falling for the delusion. That you can't have it. That you lack. That it's not possible. Stop falling for the delusion. That's what the bird is coming in there trying to tell those two dogs. Like, yo, chill. Stop. Stop hurting yourself. I have the Ace of Swords too. This regal, beautiful eagle with the Ace of Swords. Yes, we are looking for some truth. Truth that definitely does cut to the chase of things. Absolutely. And then I have the Ten of Cups as well. And how we can actually really have this greater and deeper sense of emotional fulfillment and have the good life. That's what we're all looking for, right? That's ultimately what it comes down to. You're only going to really get to this is if you start to develop it within yourself, have that attitude of gratitude. I will draw one more card just for shits and giggles. I know I drew a lot of cards for this one. I have the Nine of Wands in reverse. It's in reverse. So stop preparing for the future. Stop preparing and waiting for something to happen. Stop over-rationalizing, right? Stop over-rationalizing. Stop overthinking. Stop over-philosophizing. Stop catastrophizing about the future, about possible what-ifs and things that may or may not happen. Stop wondering about it and just live your life now and live on purpose. I have the card of miracle. You are a miracle and expect miracles to show up this week. That's going to do it for your Cosmic Convergence for this July 3rd through the 9th. I trust that this message will assist you on your journey this week. I love you all so very much. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I trust that you will go out and do amazing things this week and make the best of every situation that comes your way and all the relationships that are there too. Y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful week. I will see you all soon for the 4th of July tarot reading, actually. So, yeah. Anyways, y'all take care. Stay blessed. I'll see y'all soon. Have a wonderful week, y'all. Peace.